Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I would like to talk about the philosophy of the information age. We all know that information is everywhere around us. With just one click, we can access news from the other side of the world, watch videos, or read thousands of opinions. At first, this seems like a great gift. Compared to the past, when knowledge was scarce and hard to get, we live in a time of abundance. But I think this raises a serious question. Does more information really make us wiser? To answer this, we need to think about the difference between information, knowledge, and wisdom. Information is just data, single pieces of fact or opinion. Knowledge is what happens when we connect and organize information so that it makes sense. And wisdom is something deeper. The ability to judge what is important, what is right, and how we should act. In the information age, we are flooded with information, but that does not mean we automatically gain wisdom. Let me give an example. When we scroll through social media, we may see breaking news, personal posts, advertisements, and rumors all mixed together. The question is not whether the information is there. It is which information we trust and what we do with it. If we simply consume everything, we may end up confused or even misled. But if we pause, reflect, and ask what really matters, we are practicing wisdom. Another example is politics. Leaders may show us lots of numbers and statistics. That is knowledge. But deciding how to balance fairness, justice, and long-term responsibility requires wisdom. The same is true in our personal lives. We may know many facts from the internet, but choosing how to act toward others, how to treat friends, or how to protect the environment, that is wisdom. This is why philosophy is important in the information age. Philosophy is not about memorizing old ideas. It is about asking questions. What is true? What matters? What should we do? Philosophy helps us slow down, reflect, and resist the pressure of endless updates. It reminds us that being informed is not the same as being wise. I believe our generation has a special challenge. We are surrounded by information from morning until night. We cannot escape it, but we can learn to handle it. If we only chase speed and newness, we may lose depth. But if we combine information with reflection, we can find wisdom. In conclusion, the information age gives us great opportunities, but also great risks. Information can guide us, but it can also mislead us. Philosophy can help us separate signal from noise and wisdom from trivia. My hope is that we as students will not only collect information, but also learn to think deeply and choose wisely. That is how we can make the information age a truly meaningful age. Thank you.
All right, listeners. Today we're tuning into a theme that runs deeper than the latest tech trend or social headline. We're talking about the philosophy of the information age, what it means to live, to think and to act in a world overflowing with data, not just the speed, not just the gadgets. We're asking, how do we find meaning when information is everywhere and truth feels harder to hold on to? Let's set the stage. For most of human history, knowledge was scarce. Books were rare. Literacy was limited, and only a few could access the wisdom of the past. Then came the printing press, the industrial age, mass education, knowledge spread. But today, the script has flicked. We are not suffering from too little information. We are drowning in it. Our challenge is not access, it's discernment. Think about your daily life. Scroll through your feed, and you'll see breaking news, rumors, ads, memes, personal updates, conspiracy theories, all mixed in one endless stream. The question isn't whether information is there. It's which voices you trust, which facts you build your life on. In the information age, philosophy becomes less about how do we know and more about how do we choose. But here's the twist. More information doesn't always mean more understanding. You can memorize thousands of facts, yet still miss the wisdom to live well. The danger of this era is mistaking access for insight. Having 1,000 tabs open doesn't mean you're closer to truth. It just means you have 1,000 fragments. The rhythm of this age tempts us to confuse speed with depth, data with knowledge, and knowledge with wisdom. So where does philosophy step in? Philosophy is the pause button in an endless feed. It asks us to stop, reflect, and judge. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." In the information age, that means the unfiltered feed is not worth scrolling. Philosophy helps us see that not every notification deserves our attention. Not every fact deserves equal weight, and not every piece of information brings us closer to truth. But there's another beat we need to catch. Information is not neutral. Power is tied to it. Whoever controls the flow of information, governments, corporations, algorithms, also shapes how we see the world. Information can liberate, giving voices to the unheard, but it can also dominate, turning people into data points, feeding them only what keeps them hooked. The philosopher Michel Foucault argued that knowledge and power are inseparable. In today's digital landscape, that insight feels more alive than ever. And what about us? We are not just passive receivers. We make choices every time we click, share, or search. Our freedom depends on how we filter, how we judge, how we resist manipulation. In this sense, the philosophy of the information age is a philosophy of responsibility. What do you amplify? What do you ignore? What do you take as true? Some might say philosophy feels slow in a world moving this fast, but maybe slowness is exactly the point. To step back, to reflect, to ask not just what is trending, but what is meaningful. That's the role philosophy can play, not to give us all the answers, but to help us ask better questions. So here's the outro. The information age gives us unprecedented access to knowledge, but also unprecedented confusion. Philosophy is not a luxury in this world, it's survival. It teaches us to sort signal from noise, wisdom from trivia, meaning from distraction. If information is the beat, philosophy is the rhythm that keeps us dancing in time. Without it, we risk losing ourselves in the noise. With it, we might just find the melody of truth again. That's today's set. Stay sharp, stay thoughtful, and remember, in the flood of information, wisdom is still the rare.
Let us begin with a simple but unsettling observation. We live in an age of information. Every second, billions of messages cross the globe. News, images, videos, statistics, rumors, opinions, flowing into our devices, filling our minds, and shaping our lives. By some measures, never before in human history has so much information been available to so many. But this very abundance raises a profound question. Does more information make us wiser? This question may sound modern, but it echoes through the history of philosophy. From the beginning, thinkers have worried about the difference between knowing facts and living well. Socrates reminded us that the unexamined life is not worth living. He did not say the ungoogled life. He said the unexamined one. His concern was not how much we know, but what we do with what we know. Consider the paradox of our time. In earlier ages, the problem was scarcity of knowledge. Books were rare. Teachers limited, literacy a privilege. Now, the problem is the opposite. We are flooded, saturated, overwhelmed. The challenge is not access but discernment, not finding information but making sense of it. And here philosophy enters with new urgency. For information, though powerful, is not neutral. It can enlighten, but it can also deceive. It can liberate, but it can also dominate. Who controls information shapes how we see the world. Michel Foucault argued that knowledge and power are intertwined. In the digital age, we see his insight alive every time an algorithm decides what to show us, every time a government censors or amplifies a story, every time a platform nudges our attention. The point is not simply that information is abundant, but that it is curated, filtered, monetized. What appears as a neutral feed is in fact a structure of power. And so we must ask, how should we live in such a world? Should we simply consume more quickly, trusting the wisdom of the crowd? Or should we slow down, step back, and question the sources, the motives, the meanings of the flood around us? Let me give an example. Imagine two people. One scrolls endlessly, clicking, liking, sharing, moving from topic to topic at lightning speed. The other pauses, reflects, asks, what matters here? What do I believe? What responsibility follows from this fact? Both are exposed to the same information, but only one is practicing philosophy. Only one is seeking wisdom rather than noise. And this brings us to a deeper distinction. Information is not the same as knowledge, and knowledge is not the same as wisdom. Information is data, signals, fragments. Knowledge is organized, structured, connected. Wisdom is judgment, knowing what to do, what to value, how to live. In the information age, we are rich in data, perhaps even rich in knowledge, but often poor in wisdom. Why does this matter? Because without wisdom, information can be dangerous. We have seen conspiracy theories spread at the speed of light. We have seen falsehoods repeated so often they appear true. We have seen how endless streams of news can numb us, leaving us cynical rather than thoughtful. In such a climate, the greatest risk is not ignorance, but disorientation. So philosophy in the information age must reclaim its role as a compass, not a database, but a guide. It does not compete with search engines or fact-checkers. Instead, it teaches us to ask, which facts are relevant, which values should guide us, which choices honor human dignity. This is not only an abstract matter. It touches education, politics, and daily life. In schools, do we train students to memorize more information or to reflect critically on its meaning? In politics, do leaders bombard us with statistics, or do they deliberate with us about justice and the common good? In our private lives, do we equate being informed with being wise, or do we cultivate a patience to reflect, to discern, to listen? Consider how we often pride ourselves on being up-to-date. We check the news, we know the latest trends, we track the metrics. But is this the same as understanding? Being constantly updated may make us current, but does it make us wise? Or does it keep us chasing the next update, never pausing to ask what is truly worth knowing? Here lies the irony of the information age. It gives us unprecedented freedom to learn, but also unprecedented temptation to drift. The danger is not that we will know too little, but that we will mistake noise for meaning, data for wisdom, distraction for depth. So what should we do? We cannot stop the flood, nor should we want to. Access to information is a triumph of human progress, but we must cultivate the habits of discernment. We must learn to pause, to question, to weigh. We must ask not only, is this true, but also, what does this matter? What follows from it? What responsibility does it place on me? This is where philosophy returns to its original mission. Philosophy is not about memorizing doctrines or quoting authorities. It is about examining life together in conversation, in reflection, in public debate. In the information age, that means resisting the illusion that more is always better. It means seeking depth over speed, judgment over accumulation, wisdom over trivia. So I leave you with this challenge. In your own life, surrounded by screens, updates, feeds, and alerts, do you treat information as an end in itself? Or do you use it as the raw material for wisdom? Remember, the abundance of information does not guarantee the presence of meaning. Meaning is made, not found, and wisdom, the rarest resource in this age of plenty, depends on how we choose, how we reflect, and how we live. The information age will not make us wise on its own. That task still belongs to us. And if philosophy has any role today, it is to remind us that amidst the flood of information, we are still responsible for steering the boat.